Hello there, folks. How you doing? Okay, as you can tell, I don't want to dilly-dally too much because if an FBI agent takes the time to sit down and watch this thing from a link on Twitter, or it's being tagged on Twitter, I don't want to waste too much time with it. So what we're doing here today is I'm going through pointing out why the investigation into what happened at Eagle Nation was insufficient and therefore warrants an independent investigation. This is my attempt to convince an agent over at the FBI to take an interest in this and doing an independent investigation. I'm going to need your guys' help on this because as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to be going with this tweet. And I'm going to be, putting it out on Twitter. I'm going to be tagging the FBI and any agents of the FBI I can. I'll probably tag Steve Moore in it, and do all I can to get this in front of the FBI so that they will consider coming in to do an independent investigation, okay, into what happened at Eagle Nation. Now, okay, so here's where we're at. What happened at Eagle Nation, right? What all happened there? Okay, well, if we go back and in 2015, there was a hostage standoff. There's a little bit more to the story, but I don't want to get too much into that. Really want to stick to the real heart of the details here, where I feel the investigation was glossing over certain things in order to damage control this. So in 2015, there is a hostage standoff at Eagle Nation Cycles. A gentleman, I use that term loosely, by the name of Mr. Flatoff, comes in and holds up holds at gunpoint all of the people in Eagle Nation Cycles. So you have Michael Funk, Michael Peterson, Rhino, who was also there. You had Steve Arado, who was down in the basement that Flatoff didn't know about, who was on the phone with Nina PD and everything the whole time or most of the time. So you had this situation. Okay, what ends up happening is Flatoff makes a threat that if he doesn't get the person he wants down there, there's a particular person he wants to come down there because he wants to have a conversation with that person, obviously. Obviously, it was a tense situation. But he starts saying, because if that person doesn't get there soon, he's going to start shooting people. So the SWAT team there assembles a hasty team of 4 guys. I think it was 4 officers, maybe 5 officers, I believe. 1, 2, 3, I think 4. And so they try to go in the back door of Eagle Nation Cycles. Now, it doesn't go well. And I'm going to show that today here in this video, but it doesn't go well. And they end up shooting a fire extinguisher. Flatoff thinks it's a flashbang grenade. Just like it's a mess, right? And so the officers pull out and they leave. Okay. What ends up happening is the hostage taker, Mr. Flatoff, ends up ordering Michael Funk, one of the hostages, co-owner of the shop, to go and shut the back door that the police had just come through. So he tells Michael Funk to walk over to that door. Michael Funk walks over to the door, and he even warns Michael, if you try to run out that door, I'm going to, pump you full of lead or whatever, basically, or words to that effect. And what happens is Michael Funk gets to that door and jumps through it as he's closing it and gets out into the back alley. What ends up happening then is one of the officers during the entry into the back door was hit by a bullet from Mr. Flatoff in the helmet. The officer's name is Mr. Hoffer, Officer Hoffer. He was hit in the helmet. Okay, it didn't penetrate the helmet, but it hit his head. Okay, no matter. I mean, I gotta imagine it'd be like the equivalent of being hit with a sledgehammer. Okay, so we have this officer who's been hit in the head and who is compromised. We have a superior officer of his that orders him to stand down. Not just twice. I've been saying twice, but I've been reading the AAG's report, and although they don't include it in the summary, they do include it in their transcripts of all the body cam footage and audio. They do include the thing that they left out of the summary in there, and you can see now that it's actually 3 times that Hopper was ordered not to get involved. And so he ends up getting involved. And he ends up shooting Michael Funk after Michael Funk comes out the back door. So we're going to go ahead and go through that today. And we're going to talk about this. And so I'm going to show what I'm talking about. So where we're going to start is with basically the AAG's report on this, okay? Because they reached out to the AAG's office on this because of a conflict of interest with a previous lawsuit from 2012, which I said I'm not going to get into here today because I'm going to focus on the decisions of Officer Hopper and his superiors and the way that this all went down. So we have the AAG's report here. Now, I want to point out that this is something that the current chief of the Neenah Police Department points to and says, oh, the DOJ did an investigation and they determined there was nothing wrong and da-da-da-da-da. And so much ado is made about this report. So I'm going to go ahead and point out a few things here. I'm going to also show some body cam footage and things to show what I'm talking about and how what I'm saying is absolutely undeniably true, undeniably, and you'll see it with your own eyes and ears, okay, in this video. So where we're going to start is I'm going to show you part of the AAG's report. Okay, let me go ahead and zoom in on that. If I can. Okay. So, folks, this is what I want you guys to see right here. This is the Assistant Attorney General. So just so you can see, this is the beginning of it. And this is the report on the officer-involved fatality of Michael Funk involving Neenah police officers Craig Hopper and Robert Ross. Okay, so it goes on to talk about, you know, that they were asked to investigate this and that sort of thing. Now, where it gets interesting is right down here. Assistant Attorney General Shelley Roush. Special agents obtained, reviewed all computer-aided dispatch reports, 911 calls, radio transmissions, squad car video recordings, body cam recordings, and other surveillance video, like the shop video cams from Eagle Nation itself, which you're going to see a little bit of here today. You know, so all this stuff, a lot of stuff, but yeah, they were reviewing it. Now, here's what's interesting. I want to point this out right here. I, as in Shelley Roush, says, I spent well in excess of 100 hours. She spent well in excess of 100 hours reviewing and examining this stuff. Okay? Now, what's interesting about that is because here, let's just move forward to, page 7 real quick, because this is the, what does this say here? Summary conclusion, correct? Right? So what's not in the summary conclusion? What is the problem that I see in this summary conclusion? Summary of the incident. In the summary of the incident, there's something missing, something very, very badly missing. Okay? So, this is basically where they're talking about entering into the back of the Eagle Nation cycles here. Okay? So, this is where it's, you know, Hopper says, I'm hit. Officer Ross never made entry due to the heavy gunfire that was going back and forth. So he never even got in the door, right? Okay. So now they retreat. And Officer Kuffel retreated to the northwest, and Hopper and Ross went to the southeast and everything. Okay. So Sergeant Eichmann and Officer Ross checked on Officer Hopper, who had dropped to a seated position against a telephone pole in a grassy area between the sidewalk and the street on the east side of Vicky's, to determine whether the bullet had penetrated his helmet. Officer Hopper, now that's the AAG just said that they were sitting him down to determine whether or not the bullet penetrated his helmet. In the footage I'm going to show you, they determined that the bullet didn't penetrate the helmet, but the superior officer is still not telling Hopper he's not getting back involved. So this claim by the AAG right here is interesting to me because it flies in the face of an order given by Eichmann. Okay. Officer Hopper had a visible injury to his forehead as a result of the impact upon his helmet absorbing the bullet and had a swelling abrasion. However, the bullet had not penetrated the interior helmet wall. And whatever timestamped images of the Hasty team entering. I have footage of that here. So here's the problem. What that doesn't mention, what that doesn't talk about, it doesn't mention it at all, is the fact that Hopper was ordered 3 times not to get back into the situation. He was ordered to stay out 3 times. No mention of it. 0 mention. Big fat goose egg of a mention that he was ordered 3 times to not get back involved. Now, what's also interesting about this for me is that how is it that even though this guy clearly disobeyed 3 direct orders, which I'll be showing you here later in a minute, after disobeying 3 direct orders not to get involved, he gets back involved, and what happens? Nobody does the right thing and goes, hey, why are you disobeying orders? What the heck were you doing disobeying orders? You just killed a hostage, dude. Why were you? Nobody does that. Everybody just immediately, I mean, obviously not even the officer that ordered him 3 times not to get involved doesn't say a peep after that. That's it. Everybody just rolls over and it's perfectly fine. And you hear Hopper claiming how there's nothing wrong with him. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. You got to watch this guy at the end of Officer Ross's body cam footage. Watching him running around raging, asking people for an ice pack. Because all the ice packs that he's finding aren't working or whatever. He's getting all frustrated. And he's losing his shit. Tell me he's not compromised? Tell me he's not compromised? No. He was way compromised. So how did an entire Neenah Police Department default to the opinion of a compromised officer who had been hit in the head with a bullet in the helmet? How does an entire police department default to his judgment? How did that happen? And how is the AG's office sitting here putting a rubber stamp on it? How? That's ridiculous. So, what I'm going to show you now is, first thing I'm going to show you is the footage of the Hasty team entering. Okay? So, here we go.
Don't over here. How many?
A lot.
Stop.
Did it go through my helmet?
No, sit. Sit, Craig.
I'm good then. Let's go.
No, you're not good. We got enough guys there.
No, we don't. We have enough fucking guys.
Craig, you know you can't go back there right now. Sit
That's
tight.
2.
And there was fucking 3 dudes or 4 dudes.
I just saw the 1.
All right. So what's interesting about that is that you, number one, saw the entry there, and you saw that he was twice ordered there on camera, twice, not to remain involved, to stay out of it. Okay. Based upon their collective observations of the persons inside Eagle Nation in the time that they had visual contact, the officers began to discuss how it did not appear, nor did they believe that anyone was being held hostage inside of Eagle Nation. The exchange included references to a belief that they had been ambushed and baited to enter the building for the purpose of being shot and killed. This is what they were saying happened. They're trying to now say there were no hostages in there and that it was all a setup to kill them. And I'm going to show you the footage inside right now that shows that is absolutely bogus. I have had the hostages on my channel, and they have all explained what they were doing at the time. And it's all basically diving behind bikes. That's what it is. Now you'll see what Michael Funk does when the Hasty team enters, because he's actually on camera, and you can actually see what he does, and he hits his belly. So I just think that this is interesting that we're seeing these cops spin this because they bungled this entry. It didn't go very well. Obviously, they left the hostages in a more dangerous situation than they were to begin with. And so It's like they were trying to do damage control and say, oh, there's no hostages in there. Right? It's sad. But okay, so here we go. Moving on, right? While on Doty Avenue sidewalk, 2 minutes, Officer Ross, after Officer Ross had to run to safety, officers to the southwest alley heard gunfire. Okay, so that's when Michael Funk was coming out of the back of the building. So since that's where we're at in the story here, let me go ahead and show you from the inside what was going on. You just saw what was going on from the outside, okay, with the officers entering. But now we're going to see it from the inside and what it looked like inside. Okay, so here we go. Okay, folks, so this is just about, just before the cops are about to come in that back door with that hastily, assembled team, right? Michael Funk here,
last
folks.
night's video and stuff. So we're right at that point now. There's still one person at the desk there. Now, what I'm pointing out with the mouse there, folks, that is the fire extinguisher. You're gonna see something happen here where it's gonna get all smoky. It's that fire extinguisher. Okay, person behind the desk sees cops coming in. You see Flat Off getting down, pulling out his gun. You see the person at the desk immediately getting on the ground, belly down, arms in front, and everything. They are not looking to. Okay, so there you see a shot went through the fire extinguisher. Now you see that happening. Flat Off thought that was a flashbang grenade or whatever, and a smoke grenade or whatever. He was telling dispatch they better stop, using those or whatever, and that sort of thing. They're lucky they shot that fire extinguisher. It's the only thing that gave them enough cover to be able to get their officers out safely after they'd fallen down the staircase, to be perfectly honest.
All right, so that is what it looked like on the inside. It's the we see Michael Funk hitting his belly, number one. And I happen to know that Michael Peterson was just out. He was just on the bottom where that camera view was. He would have been just out of view on the bottom of that image, right? And what he did was he went and jumped over into another little bay there. He basically kind of says, he just talks about as he dove, and behind there was a couple bikes there that he dove behind, and he just got down because he just realized that, bullets were going to be flying, just like you see Michael Funk doing right on video, right in front of your face on video. You see Michael Funk hitting his belly, arms outstretched. You can tell before he hits his belly, he's afraid to hit his belly because he's afraid. He actually puts his hands up like this to Flat Off because he's afraid Flat Off is going to shoot him if he just went straight to his belly. So he at first he goes like this, and then eventually he goes down to his belly. So that tells you the level of fear that the hostages were under. I mean, there's so much disingenuous statements about this, and that's why I'm pointing this out. And here we're seeing it from the AG's office, the Assistant Attorney General, saying it and saying these things and ignoring the things that I'm pointing out to you. I mean, it's obvious that there's a problem here. So that's why I'm making this video today. So they talk about how Michael came out, and in this report they say, like, where is it? It says he came out. The man later identified as Michael Funk appeared to have a gun, and his arms were raised and outstretched. Actually, no, his gun arm was down. The bullet, you'll see it in the video. The gun arm is down, and it's pointed at the ground because he's been trained as a concealed carry, and he knows that that's the proper way to do it. And so he has it pointed at the ground, and he is looking at the back door because he is afraid that the Flat Off is going to come out of that door shooting at him with a Uzi. Or is it, whatever it is, it's a nasty situation. And Michael's focus is on that back door and potentially having Flat Off coming out and shooting at him. So the claims here that his arms are outstretched is, again, this is the AG's report, who claims that she spent over 100 hours herself reviewing this, and she makes this claim. And so we'll look at the footage now of that. So this is where Michael Funk now, after the police have left, Michael Funk is about to go because Flat Off has told Michael to go and shut that back door. Okay, so that's where we're at. And here, let's see what happens.
Hold on, it's closing the back door right now. If you fucking run out that back door, I'm gonna fucking unload on you.
This is him. 109. More shots fired. He's going back in the He's in the alley. One's down. Shots fired in the alley. One's down.
Show your hand!
The other thing I'll point out, if there's an FBI agent giving me the time of day here to take a look at this, it's important to know that you heard Officer Hoffer there yell, drop the gun or put up your hands or whatever. Immediately following this incident, not only are we seeing a bunch of disingenuous representations of what happened and omission of things that happened, but they go as far as to go on the news after this while it's still fresh and everybody's paying attention, and they claim that they told him to drop the gun or put up his hands before they shot. And you can see clearly in the video right there that was not the case. Now, you'll hear the Chief Olson now when you ask about this, he'll say, oh, yeah, but we walked that back later. We figured out that was a misstatement and we walked it back. It's like, no. You walk it back later when nobody's paying attention? No, still everybody still believes that you warned Michael Funk. Because back when everybody was paying attention, yeah. So that's another thing, another ploy another thing on the pile here that this police department has done. And so this is why an independent investigation is required. So the one thing I want to show you is I obviously told you guys about, the fact that he was outed 3 times, not just the 2 times that we hear there. Okay, let me show you. Here they transcribe the calls from, or it's actually the body camera footage of Sergeant Eichmann right here. See Sergeant Eichmann body camera footage. So here we go. This is the audio, or basically this is the transcripts of the audio. So you see Hopper here. She runs behind Hopper, who is running eastbound down the alley, and directs him to the right of the alley on the east side of Vicky's beauty shop. Hopper sits down in the grass, leaning back against the telephone pole. Did it go through my helmet? No. I'm good then. Let's go, he says. She says, no, you're not good. We got enough guys there. He says, no, we don't. We don't have enough fucking guys there. She says, Craig, you can't go back there right now. Okay? And she says, that's after saying, no, you're not good. Then she says, you can't go back there right now. Okay, so that's number 2. She says, sit tight. Then he's in a helmet, but it didn't go through. He's not going in. That's 3 times. Okay? Then he says, woo, thank God for the new helmets or whatever. But my problem is that how is the entire squad team, or SWAT team, and entire Neenah PD defaulting to the compromised judgment of Lieutenant Hopper, or Officer Hopper? Sorry, Officer Hopper. How is the entire department defaulting to his compromised judgment? That's my big question here. So, the last thing that I want to go ahead and show you, and I have linked this document down in the description below. If there is an FBI agent giving me the time of day here, I've linked this document. The videos that you've seen clips of are also linked below, and all that. So, last thing I want to show you. You hear me talking about a compromised Officer Hoffer, and I can't put enough emphasis on the fact that he was clearly compromised. Okay, so to give you to bring that into a sharper leaf, as it were, to give you a better, illustration of the fact that his judgment was so badly compromised, I have one more clip. This is an officer talking on this body cam that has not been hit in the helmet with a bullet, and their judgment is not compromised. And they are going to be describing what they saw when Michael Funk came out of the back of the building and was crouching behind the truck. Here we go.
He was hiding behind the truck, so it wasn't like my impression was a victim trying to run away. He was.
Okay, just be advised. This one just shoot right there.
So there it is. That's an officer on scene who hadn't been hit in the head with a bullet or the helmet with a bullet, and they assessed that situation completely differently than Hopper did. Completely different assessment. Absolutely opposite assessment. But my question, please, and this is why I'm asking for the FBI to do an independent investigation on this, is how, if we clearly have an officer saying that, what we just heard there, if we clearly have an officer who has ordered Hopper 3 times not to remain involved, how did all this end up happening and no charges were brought against Hopper? Nothing. He was given an award. This is why I would like for somebody at the FBI to take an interest and to do some kind of an independent investigation into what happened here and why this was happening. And I ask on behalf of the very, very raw and jaded folks over at Eagle Nation, because in this, they as the hostages were treated like the criminals. Literally, that attitude that they developed about there was no hostages in there, that they were just being lured in to be killed, like cattle at a cattle call or something. I don't know. But they believed, they just went with that. Even though we clearly hear like this officer saying, no, it looked like somebody that was coming out that was scared and was worried. I mean, if we have all these people who clearly were assessing it properly, how did the official story end up not including these things? And the fact that these assessments were being made. No, it all ends up defaulting to this attitude that Hopper has. Hopper's like, there's not enough guys. There's not enough guys. No, I need to get back in there. It didn't go through my helmet. I'm fine. And an entire department defaults to his judgment. His compromised judgment. All right, I've said it enough. I hope I've hit all the main points and made all my main points. Officer Hopper certainly should have faced some kind of a charge on this for disobeying orders the way he did, and he certainly shouldn't have been allowed to. Well, he should have met with some consequences, whatever those consequences might have been. He should have met with some. He certainly shouldn't have been given an award for what he did, because it's certainly not award worthy. And I think most people will agree with me on that. So if an FBI agent has taken the time to watch this video and given me your time and attention, I hope I've been able to give you enough to show you that this may warrant an investigation. It might be worth looking into. If not, thank you for your time. And at this point, I will now start to address comments over in the chat. Okay. How you doing, guys? Sorry, I didn't want to talk to anybody just yet because I wanted to go ahead and get that all done and get all my points across to a potential FBI agent who may be watching. So, all right, here I am. So, hello, William. How you doing? Hey, Smart Duck. Hey, Gloria. Hello, Julie. Hey, Kim Eastwood. Hey, Millbilly. How you doing, buddy? Let's see here. The cops must think we all come from banana boats. Yeah, well, could be. The government gets away with killing people. Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of does, but let's see. Hopper wanted his pound of flesh for being hit during the initial raid. Jesus Christ himself could have exited the building and Hopper would have shot him, period. Total neglect on law enforcement's part, 100%. Yep, absolutely. Well said, Mr. T1. Let's see. This is the of. Bad equals good and good equals bad. That is all simple but creates major issues, which makes for man's problems. Yes, absolutely. See, there you go. T1's got dropping bombs today, dropping gems today. So, well, thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you so much. It's something I was, I got home and I had a request from Steve Arado to try to get an FBI investigation into what happened and try to get an independent FBI investigation into it. So I reached out to somebody who might be able to give me some help with how I might go about doing that. Those of you who are thinking, did I ask that person to get involved themselves? No, I didn't. But I did reach out for a little bit of advice, and that's why I have made this video, and I'm hoping you all will help me share it on Twitter and tweet it at the FBI, tweet it at FBI agents, even if maybe former FBI agents. Just do what we can to put this in front of them, where I'm asking them to please take a look, to please, look at this case, look at what's gone on here, and please, if you feel the way we feel that there's something going on here, and the AG's office, the way it was omitting certain things and kind of slightly misrepresenting certain other things. I mean, if you see what we see, I mean, please help these folks at Eagle Nation. It's like I said, they were treated like the criminals in this. They were never offered any kind of grief counseling. They've all just been left raw after losing their very dear friend, Michael Funk. It's a tragic situation, but Nina PD walked away from it and gave themselves awards, got on the media and lied that they had warned Michael Funk before they shot him, and they've walked away hunky-dory, no problem. We're happy. And the AG's office is signing off on it. And I just think that that's disturbing, and I really, really do hope an FBI agent will be taking an interest. And please do an independent investigation. That's the person who I was asking for advice, T1. Yes, that's who I went and asked the advice from. So, and I will be tagging him in the tweet along with the FBI directly. So all of you, please go over to Twitter and help me. You can go ahead and tweet this video yourself, tagging the FBI. If you do and you tag me, I will come over and retweet you. And everybody, please come over. I'm gonna do my tweet. Please come over there, retweet it. Want to try to get this, if possible. Try to get an FBI agent just to take a look and see if they smell the fishy in it that we all, smell and see. So that's what I'm hoping. So yes, as I said, that is who I went to for the advice. I did not ask them to get involved directly, but I did ask them for advice on how I could go about this. So that's where we're at. So, all right. Any other questions? Because I got a lot of prep work to do for the rally event coming up tomorrow, folks. Virtual online rally starting tomorrow. It starts at 8 Central on Mark Hodnot's channel down in Australia, down under. So, it starts at about 8 o'clock Central. Like I said, it'll run till about 1 o'clock Central. Then there will be a 4-hour gap. you know, between 1 and I believe it's 6. Yeah. No, 1 and 5. Well, the UK leg starts at, I believe it's 6. It's either 5 or 6 in the morning, Central. The UK leg will start, and they will go for 5 hours. And then after theirs ends, there will be an hour gap before we start the US leg over on Linda's channel. And we're going to start on Linda's channel, but we're going to finish up the US leg over on my channel. But we're going to start out over on Linda's. But there will be an hour gap in between the end of the UK leg and the start of the United States leg of the rally. So when am I getting a haircut? I would like to get a haircut, but I don't know. Maybe I'll look into that. Andy, don't encourage her. She's not funny. Let's see. So yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, it's hopefully we're gonna have, you know, a lot of fun this weekend and good time, just, you know, hanging out like we would at Raleigh. But since we can't actually physically get together this year like we have done in past years, this will be, you know, this will have to do, or that'll do, as they say. Funk was a Vietnam veteran and ends up being gunned down by a trigger-happy police officer. That's a very fair point. Although Michael was in the service during the Vietnam War, but he actually, well, I believe, was never actually on the ground in Vietnam. But he's what's called a Vietnam era. But he's still a veteran. He's still an armed forces veteran. However, but Steve Arado actually was in Vietnam. He actually was in the country. Where has Andrew W. been? He's just getting ready to come back, actually, Jennifer. He is just getting ready to put out some videos. He had to take a little break. I don't want to really get into all of that, but he had to take a little break. But yes, he is getting ready to reemerge here very, very soon. So. Alrighty, so okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. Keep this one fairly short. The fridge is well stocked and ready for rally. There you go. You putting your scotch in the fridge now? Oh, okay. Well, you know. All right. So there we go. Everybody get ready for rally, the virtual online rally, Rally 2020 for this weekend. Please help me as I go and tweet this video. Help me as I'm tagging the FBI and tagging, you know, doing all those things. Please help me get this thing out there and help me get it noticed. Would really love it if an FBI agent would take an interest and do an independent investigation into what the freak happened here. And to actually talk to the hostages this time, which hasn't happened previously. You would think the AAG's office would have talked to some of the hostages, people that were inside. You would have think that they would have at least talked to those people. Nope. So, all right, folks. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. We'll see you.